whenever there's a struggle in the market, I think that's an opportunity to make renovations or to do better, right? So like the management company was doing okay, but I knew when I came in, I was like, if I can study this and become the best at pricing, and I can become the best at listing optimization and understand this market better than anybody else, then I can win. And that's exactly what I did. I learned the market better than anybody else. I understood, like I went above and beyond to the point where I was able to become that expert that came in and totally transformed people's properties. So people were at other management companies are like, well, this isn't doing it for me anymore. When people don't change when things are good. People change when things aren't really going their way. Right?
Yeah, 100%. Welcome to The Breakthrough with Stephen Husted, the show that takes you behind the scenes with successful entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and other movers and shakers in the business world. In each episode, we'll sit down with our guests to explore their personal and professional journeys, including the challenges they faced, the breakthrough moments that propelled them to success, and the strategies and the tactics they used to get there. Get inspired by new ideas and strategies and get to know our guests on a deeper level. Join us for candid conversations, powerful insights, and plenty of breakthrough moments. Please help us grow by subscribing and sharing the podcast, and welcome to the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Husted, and today we got an incredible guest lined up for you. Joining us is Patryk Swietek, a dynamic force in the real estate and property management world. Patryk, originally from Chicago, now based in LA, has skyrocketed his business over the past year, going from managing just 5 properties to over 100 units. His journey is a perfect example of what you can achieve with strategic thinking and relentless dedication. In this episode, we'll dive deep into Patryk's story, exploring how he leveraged technology and innovative strategies to excel his property management. From acquiring management companies to optimizing Airbnb listings, Patryk has a wealth of knowledge to share. Plus, we'll hear about his personal experiences and mindset that drives his success. Get ready for an insightful and inspiring conversation with Patryk Swietek. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man.
Good. Yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast, man. I appreciate that. And it's where are you based out of right now?
I'm out in San Jose.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So California, same deal.
Yeah.
I just flew in from New York, and to be honest, you kind of look like a New Yorker. You look like you belong in New York. I don't know why. Just got the people that see the video. You have the black hat on, the hoodie. It's kind of like the grind, the New York grind.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like,
Where are you from?
Well, I'm in LA right now, so I've been here for 5 years, 4 or 5. But Chicago originally. Yeah.
You have an accent.
Is it
somewhat?
Really?
A little bit. It sounds like it. It's cool. It sounds East Coast to me.
East Coast? Well, it's Chicago accent probably.
Heck yeah.
So
You'll take it. Yeah. How's everything been?
It's been good, man. I've been very focused on management companies recently. So I just acquired another management company that I'm closing on in 2 days on Thursday. So that'll put me at over 100 units signed, which is crazy to me because that's
how much time was that?
So
2 years, 3 years?
Yeah. So I had 5 beginning of March last year. We bought our first company March 1st of last year, and we're closing on this third company on February 29th, which is kind of funny because in 1 year I was able to go from 5 that I own to 100 managed total. Assigned.
Okay, so let's back that. Let's unpack this because this is kind of deep. Like I want to know.
Yeah.
So when you acquire this management company, how did you find it? And what was going on? Did they just want out? Were they not managing it correctly? What was going on? They were changing their strategy and moving to some type of other, asset class, and just didn't want to deal with short-term rentals. What's that all about?
So we'll back it up a little more. They say 90% of millionaires are in real estate, right? They make their wealth through real
Yeah.
estate. And so 100% of billionaires make their money through private equity or buying businesses or buying other, business assets, things like that. So when I heard that, it definitely inspired me. Um, the first company that came about March 1st of 2023, that's when we closed on it. We found out about it probably, January or December or probably around January 2023. And I was just looking, I was at a point where I had 5 properties. Everyone told me real estate investing is great. You get a lot of cash flow. It's awesome. Short-term rentals are amazing. And they've been great for me. But what I realized is I needed more and more cash flow. And especially buying in a high rate environment, you're really constricting cash flow short term.
Yeah.
And your cash on cash is I mean, you can get 30% cash on cash, but even then, still a lot of active work. I need more cash is the question, is the answer. And so I was looking to get into co-hosting or property management, basically taking an approach where I manage somebody else's property. I have my own properties. Now that I can get 20 to 30% of their gross revenue for their property for managing it. And I thought it was a really great business model. And so I was looking for co-hosting clients, and somebody came to me with 14 co-hosting clients. 15. Somebody was looking to sell. So I thought it was a great opportunity to buy a management company. And that was kind of the start of it all.
Tell me like your background. So you had your own. So
Yeah.
you were learning how to manage, but now you were scaling. Then did that probably forced you into, okay, I really got to get tight with systems. I got to learn all this software. I got to understand how to extract the most out of these properties for now my clients. Right.
Yeah.
Like now you have to go way deeper now because
I'm too deep, man. I'm too
you gotta
deep.
go way deep. Like it's your hand is getting forced to really, because let's also understand that when you're going through all this, the market is also shifting. This ain't 2020.
Right. 100%.
At all. Right.
100%.
So yeah, this is a big part of the story, because
100%.
I think this is where it separates. And I can even bring in my personal experience. We did a 1031 exchange. We sold a property here in California. We bought a cabin out in the Smokies right during the rate hikes, and everything was just going crazy. Rates were going up. We're, doing DSCR. So you couldn't lock in a rate. And so they just kept going up and up, and we're putting all this money down, but we got an obscene mortgage payment. And I remember, getting all the financials from the tired owner, and he owned 3 cabins on the same street. Beautiful cabins. I would say they were beautiful locations and had the greatest views. I don't think they were kept up that great, but I think he bought them for super cheap. He didn't run them that good. He didn't do professional photos, but he was book solid. Book solid, making $300 a night, and he was doing great, and he didn't care, and he just cashed in. And so when we grabbed it, we're like, okay, we're gonna do a refresh. We're gonna do professional photos. We're gonna do better marketing. We're gonna do all the things we need to do. I flew out there, and we're gonna increase the daily rate, and we're gonna make double what this guy makes.
Yeah.
And that did play out for a good 6 months until everything started shifting around. And we've grinded it out. I'm pretty honest and forthcoming to this. We are glued to, taking care of our systems and working on how do we increase value without spending a ton of money for our guests. But the market has shifted. I'm only speaking for the Smokies, but how did you pivot during that period of time? Like, did you have to change your expectations with your clients?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, it's cool, man. It's awesome because I actually bought my first one in the Smokies too.
Did you really?
So that was my first I've ever bought, was in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, Seaverville. It was a cute little cabin. I bought it for $306 in 2023.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Not 2023. Oh my.
No.
Dang, now we're going way
sooner
back.
than that, I bet.
Sooner than that, like 2021, I believe, or 2022. 2021 probably. The previous owner, I mean, at the time it was COVID time, so it was like they were making, it was a lot easier to make money back then on
Yes.
these units, right? It was the same thing. They were doing like 35,000. I didn't do anything to the unit. All I did was come in, maybe replace a few things that needed to be replaced, but it was the same property. And I just better photography, better pricing and systems. I made 60,000 that year. I almost doubled what they were making. So
Hmm.
similar to your story, except you did a refresh, which is even better. But yeah, so that was the world I came from. I was like, wow, this is so easy. This is great. Anybody can make money. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I started doing these properties in Joshua Tree, and it was supposed to be really easy. And then like halfway through a renovation, rates shot up, and so the refi, I did burrs, so
Yeah.
the refi rate shot up way higher, and now I'm like, I'll be honest, I'm probably like breaking even or making a little bit of money on it,
Yeah.
but not that much. It's like nothing crazy because of these high interest rates,
Yes.
and it just sucks. Um, but that's the name of the game. I got stuck in a bad position, but that's why I needed cash flow, right? That's why I kind of thought of that route. On top of that, yeah, to answer your question, like it got really tough, right? So you had to be extra special as a property. At the end of the day, there's three things you can really change, right? And there's one thing you can't change no matter what. The one thing you can't, well, two things you can't change: location and price
Yeah.
you purchase it at.
Yeah.
Those two things you can't change.
100%.
But
100% on that.
yeah, but like there's three things that you can change, and those three things are better pricing strategy, better marketing strategy or listing optimization strategy, or better home, better product.
Right.
So, a lot of times with these owners, what I think what really helped was I was able to come in this market. And the reason I think I was able to scale so fast, not only buying management companies, but the fact that a lot of people were in that same area where they're like, I'm self-managing, and this is like I have to go the extra mile. Like it's so hard. In Joshua Tree, it's one of the most competitive markets in the country. I mean, the amount of amenities and the amount of beautiful homes that are out there is insane. Your average home with a beautiful design is not going to do well. So how do I stand out? How do I do better? It's like you have to add amenities, you have to add the right pricing strategy, the right listing optimization. And so I think that whenever there's a struggle in the market, I think that's an opportunity to make renovations or to do better, right? So like the management company was doing okay, but I knew when I came in, I was like, if I can study this and become the best at pricing, and I can become the best at listing optimization and understand this market better than anybody else, then I can win. And that's exactly what I did. I learned the market better than anybody else. I understood, like I went above and beyond to the point where I was able to become that expert that came in and totally transformed people's properties. So people were at other management companies are like, well, this isn't doing it for me anymore. When people don't change when things are good. People change when things
Things
aren't
are
really
bad.
going their way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
you know?
100%.
And it's funny because it's kind of ironic because then they're like, well, things aren't going really that well. So like why invest more money into this thing? But it's funny because you won't invest more money into something that's doing well. So it's kind of like a catch 22.
Yes.
But but we convince owners, we say, listen, like if you put $20,000 into this, I know that you can make X amount more money. You can make your
Right.
money back in the next 3 to 6 months. Great. So this was an awesome opportunity for us to come in and just to crush our competition, do better than our competition, because we were able to consult our owners, get them from a position when they weren't making that much money and making way more money. So like, for example, we took this one property from an owner or from a manager that was, COVID born manager. And he was making $12,000 for them. I mean, during slower season, true, but still $12,000 across like 6 months. We did $12,000 in 1 month. The moment we took it over, better
In
photos, better everything.
Okay, so better everything. So you went for the photos, better pricing strategy.
Right.
What are you doing for marketing?
I could be doing more, honestly, but what I do for marketing is really I play into the algorithms. So I know Airbnb is like 95% of our market. So I usually go into RankBreeze, and RankBreeze is a platform that tells you where you rank and what metrics you have for for each property. So like I look at the impressions, I look at the click-through rates, I like study the whole buyer's journey to understand, okay, where can I optimize the listing or different parts of the pricing to show up more, right?
Mhm.
So that strategy is like what I've deployed. And so when I say marketing, I mean like better photos. A lot of times it's tweaking what is the first photo, which is what is the first 15 photos and what is the first 30 photos. Those are the three to four most important stuff. So hero photo is number one, most important. Then
Right.
you have the first five, also very important. The first 15 are also incredibly important. And then also the first 30 is the least important, but also important. But people don't realize that. Why is first 30 important, right? You can get more deeper in strategy, but first 30, right? You're on mobile device, you're only limited to 30 photos on mobile device. So when people are scrolling through a mobile, they'll scroll to the side and see how many they can see. So usually the first 10 or 15 are really important because they'll swipe around 10 to 15 on average. And so they'll make their decision whether they want to click through or they don't click through. So if my click-through rates are really low, then that's something where I need to optimize it. This is like the marketing stuff that a lot of people don't do. People change stuff and they don't measure the marketing. And it's just not ideal.
What do you think the next step is on a guest journey besides the photo? So they go from the photos. What do you think they're clicking on next? Location, amenities, what the copy's saying?
Yeah. Well, this is all kind of speculation / like studying people / me having hypotheses on this whole process. There's really not that many studies on it, but it's just something I've encountered. So the launch of the property is one of the most critical parts, which is why we focus so much time and energy on the launch. We monitor everything during the launch process, everything. It's such a critical part to seeing where the property is going to end up. Usually around 3 months, we'll know like where the property is going to end up big time. First month, it could be a dud. And you could be like, wow, I have a shitty property, but it's not the case. It takes some time to ramp up. Month 3, I'll be able to know, but the launch process is so important. And so that's something I always talk about, getting the momentum going. But from the buyer's journey, think about it like this, right? The buyer's journey is first they go on Airbnb or whatever search algorithm that they want. In the beginning, when you first launch, you're probably pushed to the front. So that's great. But the way that it's going to work right off the bat, it doesn't matter if you're pushed to the front if you don't have key amenities. And what I mean by that is like in a really competitive market like Joshua Tree, people will, their process is like, okay, well, I'm going to choose the dates. That's the first one. It's the first.
Right. To see what pops up. To see that's available.
First available dates. Easy. Then guest count. That's the next thing. That usually gets rid of a lot of people right off the bat. And then search. And then when they search, then they have the top bar where they have additional things that they can choose. The first thing that the biggest thing is there's price elasticity within this industry, meaning that price is really, this is an economic term, meaning price is really important to the buyer's decision. And so the first thing they're going to do is they're going to adjust the price. And when they adjust the price, they might put a little bit more on the top end just in case something really nice comes up and they can negotiate or something. So they'll adjust the price depending on what their budget is. And that's the nightly rate, right? And then from there, they will go down and they'll see on the bottom, there'll be like indicator of how many rentals are there. So if they see 1,000 plus homes still, they're like, wow, we got to really start narrowing this down. And so
they're going to be Superhost.
Yep, let's do only Superhost, right? Now it's like less. Now only guest favorites. Now it's a lot less. And so then they start going into the amenities. And the most popular amenities show up on top, the things that people click on the most in that market. So when I go into the Airbnb search functionality, I look at the top things that people are searching for in the first 6 or so. And I make sure that most of my homes have them if I can get them. But a big thing in Joshua Tree is hot tub pool, right? And so not everyone can afford an in-ground pool. So here's a little hack that we did is like, okay, well, let's get a cowboy pool involved because that cowboy pool is going to allow you to at least get the check mark so that you can at least compete. Because if you don't have a cowboy pool, you can have the most incredible house that's
There's no water.
And it's just no other water feature.
Yeah.
You're screwed. You're not even showing up. You can have the most incredible place ever, but if you don't have that little check mark, you're gone, out.
Right.
And because guests get less picky. They're like, okay, well, let me click hot tub. 800 homes still. I can't choose between 800 homes. Oh, pool, 150 homes. Even if they don't use the pool, which most times we actually did studies where guests don't use the pools. Maybe 20 to 25% of the time they use the pool.
Oh, really? That's
It's
interesting.
like crazy. And we
That's
know
crazy.
this because we have an owner that literally stays in the same plot of land and watches how many people use the pool, because we told him to buy the pool, and he was like, 20% of users only use the pool. Like, he's like super stingent on that. Funny enough, it's kind of like true when you really look at it, but
that's interesting. I wonder what that's so weird, especially because in Joshua Tree, you're kind of, desolate. You're in the desert, and you kind of hunker down. Besides going and hiking and doing whatever, you're doing things around the house. Jumping in those. I have to admit, I always use those cowboy pools, and I will filter it out from hot tub to cowboy. I'm like, cowboy's cold water. It's going to be hot there. That's all I need.
Yep. Exactly.
I'll save a little bit of money there.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like,
I don't care if there's sand and dirt in there.
Yep. And it's like, it's enough for most people. Most people love that stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the buyer's journey. They're going to filter first, right? And then that, like, whatever shows up is considered an impression. So when you look at impressions, that's usually like, when your impressions are low, usually it's because you don't really have something, you're getting filtered out right away. So it's either pricing, which is a big thing, or it could be something involving, something involving an amenity or something like that. So there's that. And then obviously the next step is like, they're going to go through, and then it's click-through rates. You click on it, they go into the page. That's the page view. They look at the page, Airbnb listing page, whatever. And then they convert from there. So as long as everything looks kosher, usually they'll have like multiple properties that they like, and then they'll choose the one that they think is the best. So yeah,
it's funny. I was like, before we were getting on, I'm like, all right, I'm going to take Patryk on a different direction. I don't want him to talk about anything he's talked about before, but then I'm feeling like I'm being super selfish. Like, I'm going to ask Patryk a bunch of things that I want to know about mine.
Hey,
screw it.
Okay?
Everything's out the window on this podcast. Damn it. I'm going for it. I'll ask him all the personal stuff at the end of the hour.
I love it, man. I love it. Let's dive in. I geek out on this stuff. So anybody I can geek out with, like, let's go.
Oh, what's crazy? Here's something that's really cool. Our street, like I said, has 3 cabins, and we all know each other. And the guy that's right before me, he lives out in Utah, and he's an agent. And I've had him on my podcast. He's super cool. We talk all the time, like, just bounce ideas, talk about our cabins, our cleaners. We have pretty much the same team.
Yeah.
So we're constantly talking about things, about, how to improve. And he's giving me a lot of, when we closed on ours, we kind of went backwards on a lot of different things. One of the big things is we closed and had this huge plumbing issue, massive $11,000 plumbing issue. And now that I look back on it, with the company that we chose, they're a little dramatic. We call them out they're like a plumbing. They kind of do it all. I'm talking about.
I know which one it is.
Okay. I'm not going to put them out. I'm not going to put them out on here. Yeah. But the reason we go through them is when we're in a bind and we have a guest and there's some type of major issue, we just know we can get somebody out. We'll go through our vendor list, and call, 10 handymen, but they'll be like, I'm booked until this date. And like, we need somebody.
Yeah. I know which company it is. I know they're expensive, but they're really reliable.
Yes.
I have the same one in mind. Okay.
Yeah. And they're highly dramatic. Like, they'll come out and go, look, oh my God, you got to replace the whole plumbing system, every toilet, and your, everything's going on with your leach fields. And so we bought into it. We spent, $11,000 doing what we needed to do. And it's funny, they fixed the plumbing, and then we have another backup downstairs in the basements where it was all happening. And we get a plumber out, and he's like, it was just one little part between the toilet and the washer machine, like, thing. He's like, dude, this is all it was right here. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this is insane. So anyways, we spent about $15,000 interior wise, blacked out all the hardware, changed out the ceiling fans, new refresh on furniture, and took on that plumbing thing. But there's so much other things we really want to do. But if you go to this cabin, and it's in Wears Valley. You turn up, we got a community pool. We got 2 fishing ponds that look like they're out of some movie, where you bring your son to go fishing and catch that trout and have that moment. It is exactly that. You get up
Amazing.
to the cabin and it's super private. It has got the most amazing view. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn when it comes to this property. It really does. And I realized it once I got there. I said, oh my God, we got a very special property. And everybody says the same thing. The view is amazing. The cabin's quirky inside. There's some things that can get enhanced. We want to take the game room downstairs, and basically I want to do 8.5-foot sliders and just
Nice.
literally open the downstairs, just make
Yeah.
it all open and then extend the deck. Even though it's the first floor deck, it still has wilderness views, but I want the deck to be built in amongst the trees with a fire pit, and just
Sweet.
immerse that whole thing, right? I'm ready to spend that kind of money. But the pricing scenario and what's going on right now, we're just not where we should be. We're basically bringing money to the table the last 2 months.
Right.
So I'm, I'm in that gear where I'm like, I'm just going to keep grinding this out, doing whatever I possibly can, learning from a lot of people, and see where it ends up. But I definitely don't want to have an Airbnb that just breaks even over, a period of year. That's just me. I'll allocate that. I'll take that money and go somewhere else and just say, hey, this is what went on. This was my story. And I rather put it here and, make a different return. Even though I love the Smokies. Do you go out there at all?
I used to go out there as a kid. So I love the area. It's cool. It's awesome, man. I'm a big fan.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sucky flight for us coming from California. You got to fly to like Dallas and
yeah.
and then like Knoxville,
and you got to drive to it. It's like there's no other way.
There's no other way. But it's still, when I get there, I'm like, yeah, this is really cool. It's funny how people in California are like, the Smokies? I'm like, I know you only understand Tahoe and Big Bear and places like that. But I'm telling you, Smokies it's got to go. It's got a lot of things going on there. So
it's a lot of development too. I like that area a lot.
A ton, especially up north past like Pigeon Forge. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff there, man. Like it's the real deal. So I don't know. Hopefully maybe the rates come down and we can refinance. But like you said, that's a big part of it. And we underwrote that property. It wasn't just the hard costs. We put in there, okay, we need a budget for furniture, all the stuff, propane, the things that people want to leave out, just think that it's just going to work itself out. But you start adding all that up and that's another couple grand easily,
It adds up. Things that you never thought about. You're like, wait, what? How are we spending $1,000 on utilities? Like, what's going on here,
dude? Yes, that threw me off too. And that old owner wasn't the most. I don't know. It was that perfect scenario. It was almost like buying a fixer upper. You knew that you're going to go in, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. You're going to, force depreciation, increase the value, go ahead and do refinance, pull your cash out, move on to the next, right? It's a very methodical system. You've underwrote it. We went into this like, oh yeah, man, we're just going to crush this guy. And we did. We doubled our money in that beginning, but then I was on Luke's Monday, like he does like a webinar scenario. Yeah. So I did a bunch of those too, because we went through the short-term shop and I like them. I think they're all cool. I like Luke. I like Avery.
They're great.
They're awesome.
Avery spoke at my conference. She's great. I can't get Luke to speak at my conference for some reason. He's more like, hey man, I don't like being on stage.
So I'll tell you I got a funny Luke story. The first time I went to a Bigger Pockets conference, I sat in on one of their their classes, right? And I walk in and I see both of them and I see his hair and I see his tattoos and I'm like, okay, that guy's cool. I'm gonna go sit by him. I got tattoos. I'm gonna vibe with this guy. And I sat next to him, and it was like between both of them, and I'm just talking, and Avery's talking to me, and I'm talking to Luke, and we're talking about like rock and roll bands, and then all of a sudden she's like, all right, good talking to you, and she gets up and she goes on stage, and I'm like, wait,
oh shoot, you're there. Got it.
And he like looks at me, he's like, that's my wife. And I'm like, right on, dude. Like,
Right on, let's go.
it's like,
Dude, and they have little kids now. I love how they go to rock concerts together. It's super
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's super cool. But you know what? We were in that management Mondays. That's what it's called.
Yep, that's what it was.
And I remember when we were getting ready to close, I was going through these management Mondays, and that was my big question. Like, I don't think this market's going to sustain itself. Where was this market in 2018? That was my biggest question. I just kept on throwing that out there. Like, I want to know that level, because then I wanted to kind of understand the market then and how I can increase it from where this guy was, because I knew that for a fact. Guy didn't have it. He had terrible photos. He was doing everything wrong.
Right.
But what he was doing right is he bought them for dirt cheap, and he didn't care. He's like, put it on for 300. I don't need a pricing tool. You know, I'm going to have this thing rocking and rolling. He's probably smart. He's like, oh, dude, this is not gonna sustain. I'm out of here. I'm cashing out. Time to pass it over to those Californians.
Yep. Let a California buy it.
Those Californians, they'll buy anything. They think everything's a deal.
Yep. That's so funny. That's so funny, because I went out there and they were like, "Oh, you're from California?" Oh, like they're just like,
"Oh
yes,
yes,
plenty of you guys out here."
Yeah. Did you do you ever notice that in front of like just people? Like, did you ever go to like a restaurant there and you say, "I'm from California"? And they're like, "Really? You're from California, huh?" Like,
they already knew. They knew there was so much money coming from California when I was there. They're like, "Oh yeah, we've had over the last year or two, so many people are buying from California." Like, it was just a normal thing. And I know a bunch of my friends out here, we became friends over the short-term shop and all that kind of stuff. They all bought cabins in the Smoky Mountains, and we're all California, and we all live in LA or in San Francisco. Like, we're all just friends.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah.
It's kind of cool. And you know what? I think what's cool about it now is, like, 2004, 5, you and I would not be having this conversation. We would not be on a podcast. We wouldn't know the markets that we're all investing in and gaining knowledge, you know, from each other on things, you know, like that just didn't happen. I think I've told the story before. I remember when I first started kind of going down the journey of wanting to get into real estate. It was before I became an agent. And, you know, we'd go to conferences in like San Francisco, and I don't know, with some dude would get on stage and pitch how to flip a house, and you walk out and you buy a CD and you're off off to the races, you know, like, what the hell now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, now it's like we could jump on a podcast and I'm like, I'm not going to ask Patryk any of the questions I've heard him on his podcast. And now it's like, tell me more, Patryk. I need to pick your brain in real time. So what else is, I got a question. I got a lot of questions, but let's get on to, your systems and how do you handle issues? How many are on your team? What do they do as far as like a guest complaint? You got a guest complaint. It's happening in real time.
Yeah.
I know that's a vague, but let's kind of hear how you handle that approach.
Yeah. So my background is tech, and it's important. I've been building companies since I was 14 years old. So I've been around.
I read that.
Like, I did the whole thing. So like, I made around $40,000 a year at 14 years old building tech companies. And so I've been doing that for a while. I understood tech. That was my game. Coming into this world, I knew two things really well. One is tech, and two is building systems and building people. So that was like leadership, growth, that kind of stuff, strategies, high level strategy. So going into something like this, I knew that the best way to beat everybody out is to run a lean model. Like I had to run lean, and I had to have everything kosher and dialed in. And then once everything's dialed in, then I can make a more distinguished approach to become a 10x player in this field by becoming better in every way possible. So the reason I'm saying that is because SOPs are everything in our business. So, making sure that we have a system for every situation that occurs. One of them, which is how to deal with guests when issues come up. And so it's a twofold thing to how I do it. The first part is hiring the right people. I have 9 VAs. All of them have Airbnb experience, or most of them do. I think 7 of them are on the comms team. 2 of them are accountants. Um, they understand. They worked for Airbnb. They worked for property management companies. They understood the concept of how to remove bad reviews when they come in. What are the stances for that? How to create a case? How to win a case? How to like a lot of them. A lot of my main guy is used to be a trainer at Airbnb, so he was training the staff on what they should do on their end, meaning he knew how to, when you know the system, you know how to break the system, right? So it's kind of like that. And so to answer your question, I hired the right people. That's the first step. And the second step is having the right people put into play a system or approach on how to address every situation that could come up. So in our market, a broken hot tub is a common situation. We look at it as a net positive. Like how can we so if it's a broken hot tub and it's for one night, and keep in mind I'm not as experienced as they are in this, but let's say it's a broken hot tub for one night, and the one option is the guest complains to Airbnb and gets X amount of a refund. Let's say it's 30% of the stay for the nights affected. So it was only one night affected, they left, whatever, or whatever. So we calculate, if they're making a request, we calculate that, and we rather not give them a full refund, because we know, okay, well, if Airbnb sides with them, they're only going to get 30% refund. So why give them the full refund? You see what I mean? So we're going to
Right.
have a talk like that. We want to do what's fair. But also, if somebody's exploiting us, we have a different approach to that. So it really depends on what kind of guest you are. If you're trying to exploit us, if we see that in our data that we in the clean, like the place was clean, and you're just trying to raft us to try to get as much money as possible, we're going to come in hard, and we're going to play the ball, because we know Airbnb really well. We know the platforms really well. So like we can get our way. So it really depends. It depends on your intention. If you're a good guest and you have a reasonable intention and
Good reviews.
yeah, like good. I mean, yeah, like all these things, and then that approach is going to be a lot more. Like we're going to be really nice to you, to be honest, and we're going to give you the refund that you deserve, and you're going to be happy. And so it's going to be a win-win situation. So it really depends on what happens. But guest issues could range from a variety of things. And so like sometimes we'll do we're all about perceived value as well. Like a lot of times people see like us delivering a $20 gift from Instacart is going to be $20-$30, and it's going to allow us to save get us a 5-star review, or save us from giving a crazy amount of refund. That is worth it to us, but it's perceived value. They don't know that those flowers and that the chocolates cost what they do, but it looks like, wow, this is high end. They give us a bottle of champagne, chocolate, flowers. Like
It's the little things.
it's those little things. They think, oh my god, this is like $100, but really it's more like $20-$30. You see, so it's like it's all about how you present yourself, and not to say that we're cheap and we're looking to screw people over, but at the same time, it's hospitality. At the end of the day, like the way that we like to put it is like, if we can make their stay the best possible, uh, from their perspective, that's all that matters, right? So in their perspective, their expectations is hot tub is everything. Then we want to make sure the hot tub's working. If sauna is everything, then we want to make sure the sauna is working. Like that's the thing. If they don't care, the dishwasher maybe is a little broken, and they're being reasonable with us, we that's their own, right? Hey, leave the dishes, we'll do them, no worries. They don't need the dishwasher, they don't need to hand wash, all good, right? So it really depends. It just depends on the situation, but hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How let me ask, here's a good one.
Yeah.
How are you when you go stay at Airbnbs? I've only had one bad scenario, and I think it was during COVID, and it was just the way that the property was marketed. And we showed up, and there was bars on the window, there was a golf club next to the bed, and broken glass and things like that. And I just called up the host and just said, hey, look, we're not staying here. This was in Palm Springs, and I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, we're not staying here. Misrepresented this place, and it's just not showing good. We're not gonna give you a bad review. We just want our
Yeah.
money back, and we're gonna go get a hotel room.
Yeah.
That was the only time. I'm not a very picky person.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the things that people will say about the cabin,
Mm-hmm.
and I've stayed out there myself. I stayed out there before we did all the work, which is the funny part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a goddamn cabin, a rustic cabin in the Smokies, with an amazing view.
Mhm.
Like, I can care less what the bathroom looks like.
Yeah. Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that is like not the thing I'm going to be hyper focusing on, or, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And it's just weird when people come with these random thoughts and things. I'm like,
Mhm.
enjoy your time. Like,
Yeah.
go get outside in nature, get on that deck, go to that pond, go to the pool, like go on a hike. Like, I don't know. Like,
Like
sometimes
entertain yourself. Yeah.
I take it personal sometimes, but
Yeah.
did you, how many, I wonder if you know this data point.
Mhm.
How many properties out in Joshua Tree do you think hit the market prior to COVID to now? Like, did it
Mhm.
just see, because I know they limit the permits now, right? They're
Yeah.
putting things in place because it just got out of control.
Mhm.
Do you
Well,
think it just got out of control because of COVID? Like, do you think that's
yeah.
really what, just everybody was bored going, hey, people are going here, let's just go buy this and take on this pet project?
Absolutely. That's definitely what happened. And people are buying average of the like average homes, which we've done kind of that, but we've also made them really nice. But you know, I think COVID was, in my opinion, from what I've seen, COVID was a time where people were able to buy anything, put it on the market, make money. The grandma's place that made money on Airbnb is not a thing anymore. The standard of hosting is higher, and that is actually a net positive in my eyes for everybody. But that's just my perspective. Now, yeah, like that's what happened. I've actually seen that we have a permit cut. So it's like, hey, like 10% of the housing market in Yucca Valley, for instance, which is one of the towns adjacent to Joshua Tree. There's a limit for 10% of the housing market is to be short-term rentals. So people were freaking out. Oh my God, there's a limit to the amount of licenses. Funny enough, it's gone down to like 30 licenses, but I think we're back up to like 70 or 100. Like it never ran out because there's more people giving up their licenses than people
Right,
getting
I can see
licenses.
that.
And so it's like, it's funny. And we don't, so when owners freak out about that, we're just like, hey, like this is the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just, yeah, to answer your question, I think a lot of people are giving up. The average homes are getting squeezed out. People are giving up. They're saying Airbnb is saturated, Airbnb is dying, and that's far from the truth because we have properties that do incredibly well for low price points, and you just got to know what to buy and what to do, or how to manage it. And I think that's the reality of it.
Yeah, I was thinking of something over the weekend. I think there was one point during COVID we were thinking about buying a Sprinter van. And, one, I want one so that I can go, do my mountain bike races and just travel around California in one,
Yeah.
just get away for the weekend. But they were really big during COVID that people were renting them out. I think some of them, if they're dialed in, we're making like $300 to $400 a night. And I was wondering, going, oh, I wonder what that market is like too now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Has that changed a little bit? I mean, I know buying one of those Sprinter vans where they were price wise, I've seen where they just fell off the cliff.
Oh yeah.
But I think that the shakeout is a good thing. I know people will put out the hype. You'll see all these news, Airbnb's done. It's definitely not. It's just where we are retracing.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of people that are just going to go, that was a good run and just get out,
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
And that's cool. And those permits in Joshua Tree will, be available and people will get to go in there. One thing about Joshua Tree, I'm casually, I'll look on Airbnb. There's a lot of pretty badass designers that go out there and they do some pretty dope shit.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like I look at it, I go, yeah, this is like an interior designer with a passion that really is going deep on just aesthetics and right. Do you see?
100%.
Man, it's crazy. I don't.
The
Is there
competition
anywhere
is
else in the
fierce.
United States that you get that type of intense vibe?
I think the only other place, I mean, there's a few, but one of them is Smoky Mountains is getting there.
Is it really?
I
Yeah,
think it's get leveling up to that kind of level. Orlando is the most competitive market in the whole country. I think
Orlando
Orlando, you
is.
see that, like where,
Huh.
and look, it may not be aesthetically like Joshua Tree, but it's aesthetically like, high end. Like I'm talking about when you go into that market, Orlando, you need to have every room themed to the extreme extent. It can't just be like wallpaper. It's got to be like the beds and everything. Like it has to be over the top to make it. And it's the same as design here in Joshua Tree, where it's super competitive that way. So I like to say that we're playing the NBA. We're playing in the NBA. Everyone else is playing college ball or high school ball. And so, we're out here having to go above and beyond to make money. And that just makes us very dangerous if we go into other markets, which we are entering a new market right now. And so I'm really excited about that fact. I'm going to test all my theories. We're entering Broken Bow. So that
Cool.
so that's one thing where one of our clients has 4 properties out there and 4 cabins. So I'm going to be in a mountain market back again. So I'm going back to my roots in Smoky Mountains.
That's cool.
And so we're ready to go back and see like, hey, can we take everything that we've learned and apply it here? Take lifestyle models, take launching the property the correct way, take interior design and amenities and all of the different intrinsic things that we think about. And so that's exactly what I'm doing this, I think either this week, most likely, is at the time of this recording, is going to be really studying that market deeply and understanding what is a standard. Now let's double that.
Right.
For example, nobody there, I mean, at least from what I've seen, nobody there has a pickleball court. Let's fucking do it. Like,
Yeah.
let's do the extreme that nobody else does, and let's crush it with our competition, right? So that's kind of what we're thinking about is like, how do we do things how do we trailblaze this industry in a way that makes sense and that is, something that people want to partake in. So that's kind of what the idea is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been doing in your personal life? What have you been working on? Because I know that,
Yeah.
mindset, personal stuff kind of equates to where you're going to go business wise. Like
Yeah.
what does your day look like?
Yeah.
What's a day in the life of Patrick?
Day in the life. Definitely a lot of my time is focused on managing companies. I've been in the weeds on it. I've been geeking out on it. I want to become the best of the best. I teach people on the side. I teach people how to buy management companies on the side. I teach people how to manage management companies to like the highest level and highest degree. And that's part of the things I do. But that's more on the side. But more so, I spend a lot of time really focused on educating people on just Airbnb in general. I have STR Nation, conference that's coming up. So do that. This year we're going to be in San Diego, July 7th to the 9th. So that's an awesome
Sweet.
thing that if anybody's interested. But so yeah, I'm definitely focusing on those things in my life. But management company is going to be a majority of it. Is how do I build this incredible brand and take everything that we've learned in Joshua Tree and replicate it in different markets and different scales, and continue to buy management companies, continue to acquire and build what we have. Like everything we've done so far has been inbound. We have not done any outbound outreach. We haven't done any like investing into marketing at all. So everything we've gotten so far has been just coming to us. So that's very powerful. And so like I want to zone in on that and like see maybe if there's paid ads or other things that we can do to really expand and just amplify our efforts that we do with inbound. But yeah,
Is
really
it just
excited
you?
about
Do you have
that.
a partner? Or do you
Yeah,
have partners?
I have a business partner. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they have another set of skills that's different than yours?
Yeah, he comes from a house flipping background. He's flipped over 100 homes. Him and I are good managers now because we've been doing this together. But his background is definitely focused on home renovations, adding value.
Cool.
That's why when it comes to like building stuff or renovations, he's on it. He's really good with contractors. He's really good at taking these homes that are like and let's add something a little spice to it to make it incredible. Yeah.
What other goals do you have this this year?
This year, I mean, I didn't think I was gonna hit 100 in 1 year, to be honest. That was more like a longer term goal. So I this year probably in the next 3 to 5 years, either get to $3 to $5 million net for the management company, or sell for 10 million plus. So that's kind of the high level goal. Then next 3 years, next 3 to 5. But next year, probably be on that trajectory as well, and replicate this in other markets and continue to teach people, hopefully teach people how to buy more management companies. I think it's an incredible opportunity. I have so many management companies that come across my desk, and they're incredible opportunities where you can add so much value just on pricing. Let's say you take over a management company and you increase pricing by 30%. You already added so much value to that company. Let's say it's making $100,000 net at a 3x multiple, that's worth $300,000. Now you added 30% more money to it. Now it's worth, 130,000, or let's say it makes 130,000 net. That you just increased the value 30,000 times 3. That's $90,000 with the value increase in this management company. Now you do that scale. It's
That's
really
interesting.
nice.
And do you think part of it just where we are in the market, these management companies are just like, okay, I'm out of it?
That's what I'm saying. Like exactly what we talked about this whole time, man. Like there's gonna be people that are willing to take things to the next level, and there's gonna be people that just want an average business. If you're
Yeah.
serious and you want to run a real business, you could take these management companies, and just like you take a property and you transform it, it's just a higher scale. You just take 10 properties or 20 properties and do the same thing. Add value to them, build relationships with these owners, and grow their portfolios with them. And there's just like a lot of benefit to that from a networking perspective, but also from a business equity and just acquisition perspective.
I think we packed it in here today, dude. Seriously, I didn't.
Yeah. I
Well,
love it.
you were the last one on the list to get on the podcast from from everybody from that one from the Bigger Pockets conference in San Diego.
Yeah.
So everybody that I think I met you, I don't know where I met you, but I remember I kicked back with you at some, I don't know if we were at a bar or nightclub. We were somewhere.
I forgot where we were. I remember.
Yeah, we were chilling in some little loungy thing.
Yeah.
But everybody's been on the podcast now that I've had, which is really cool. That I look back on it. I think that it's like this having this platform. It's just great to engage.
Yeah.
Like today when I was driving here, I'm going, and I've heard you on podcasts, and I'm like, one of my biggest things when doing an episode with guests is I'm like, okay, I don't want them. I really want to force them in another direction. I don't want them to, and sometimes it goes that way.
I think you accomplished that. I definitely talked about things I haven't talked about on other podcasts. So pretty good job.
Okay, good. Yeah, I try to do that. But I really appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
And you keep rocking it, dude. You just
thank you, dude. I'm gonna try my best, dude. I don't know. Like asking that goal question, I was like, actually, that's a really good question. I don't freaking know. Take it one day at a time, man.
Yeah, but that's okay, man. I mean, that's the entrepreneur journey. I think it kind of comes and goes, and you hyper focus. You're learning. You break things as you go. That's the cool part about it, man. Dude. I don't want to have it figured out, dude. If I have it figured out, I'm out.
Never. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I 100% agree, man. 100%
yeah.
agree.
Well, we'll leave it at that. So where can the audience find you?
Yeah. So if you want to find me, STR Nation Facebook group is fantastic. We have great stuff there on Airbnb investing. If you want to talk to me, I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm actually very open-minded to that kind of stuff. So you can actually reach me at Instagram, Patryk, Patryk. So Patryk _SWIETEK. That's my first full name. You can add in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll put in the show notes too.
But happy to chat. I'm an open book. If you really want to level up in Airbnb investing, in some of these pricing strategies that we talked about, I just released a book not too long ago called The Wealthy Airbnb Superhost. Look it up on Amazon. I think it's an incredible book. I've put for advanced users and for beginners. It's got everything. So like there's a whole chapter on pricing strategy, exactly what we talked about in this podcast in that book. I think it's only like a 99-cent book on Kindle. It could 10x your business,
Right.
So, like
it's worth every bang for your buck there.
It's $1. It's under $1. It's like, come on. Like you can't even get under $1 for like a Costco hot dog and drink, right? Come on.
You can't even get a latte, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. And you can get all the information to leave your job and become financially free. It's like, that's incredible. I hope that, like, I just giving this as like the best. Yeah, that's the way I want to give it, as cheap as possible.
Yeah, it's great. Well, you keep rocking it, buddy.
Cool, man.
And I appreciate you jumping on today. And I wish you the best. And yeah, I'll be talking to you soon.
We'll talk soon, man.
Yeah.
Nice chatting.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Thank you for tuning into our show, where we hope you found inspiration and gained valuable insights. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to stay updated on our latest episodes, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and share it with others who might benefit from it. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more candid conversations and breakthrough moments in the future. Until next time, take care and keep exploring new ideas and strategies.